welcome to today's Starseed Healing Circle. So in today's session, we are doing our coaching session. So we're going to be looking at some coaching techniques or things I'm going to bring in that indicated as being important for this time. This is based on my client's work, and also I had a quick check in what's happening astrologically, and of course to tie in with our attunements and our healing and everything we've done. So let's dive in. Let's start with our tune-in for the day. Don't normally need to tune in for the coaching session, but I think it's nice to get us all on the same page. So close your eyes, take a nice slow deep breath in and out, and just allow yourself to tune into your heart space. Get a sense of what it feels like there. No judgment, don't try and change anything, just feel. And think about what it is that you would like to bring into your life with today's session. What would you like to manifest or heal or release? And then when you're ready, open your eyes and allow your eyes to very gently rest upon the light code, and just trace it with your eyes, or perhaps just let it rest somewhere. Today we tune in with the Mintakan Starseed Lightcode Activation. So think about your goal, your focus, what you would like to release or heal in today's session. And we use this tune in as a way to all come together in the same space, in the same energy. And because we're coming together as a group, we boost the energy for the group. And of course, today's work is timeless, which means you can listen to this over and over and over whenever you need this information. And stay here as long as you need, and pause the recording if you need more time. Okay, so three things that we want to talk about today. And yeah, let's break them down and let's dive into that and see how it evolves. I've done very little planning or prepping for this. I've just got the slides ready, and so then we're going to talk about it as it unfolds. So first thing that we have is 5 seconds to action. So I was not going to talk about this particular one because the focus was a lot more geared towards our three brains and our feeling, wanting, willing actions. But as I was looking at the story that we have, we are obviously working with the second ray of love and wisdom. And with that love and wisdom, it's to have the wisdom to know what to do, when, and how. And it's also to have the love and the compassion to be able to move fully into what it is. When I looked at the astrology, it was really focused on stepping into your own power, stepping into your solar plexus, but not just the solar plexus sacral energy combination. And it's about getting to a place where you can honor yourself. So that's where our wisdom comes in. And then within that wisdom, to be able to act, but act from a space of empathy and love. So combining the whole second ray information. As I pondered our action and stepping into our confidence and stepping into our power, what came through quite strongly was action. And it's almost like there's procrastination sitting underneath. We use procrastination as a way to not do what we need to do. You know what you have to do. You have all the intentions to do it, but then you procrastinate. There's many different reasons for procrastination. Usually it just could be that you are not feeling it. You're just not feeling it. That's okay. But there is a way out of the procrastination, and that is that 5-second rule. So one of the first questions I would usually ask my clients is, Do you use an alarm to wake up in the morning? That's question one. A lot of people will say yes. I'm lucky enough that I don't need to. I'm normally up before the sun comes up, a little bit of light, and I'm awake. So that's fine. But if you do wake up with an alarm, the second question is, do you wake up and then hit the snooze button and then snooze for a little bit and then hit the snooze button and then hit the snooze button and hit the snooze button and then finally wake up? If you don't do that, if you like grab the alarm and say yes and let's go, then this part of the coaching session you can skip. But if you are a snoozer, then you'd want to listen. That snooze button is an addiction. You are addicted to the snooze button. Okay, hear me out. What happens is you are deep sleeping, enjoying sleep, and you are drifting away. Everything's calm, everything's nice and serene. The alarm goes off, it sends adrenaline rush through your body. So you've got this adrenaline flooding through your system. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, let's hit the snooze. And then you go down again. The adrenaline then has to flush through. So what happens is there's a dopamine response, and then we flood with serotonin, which is our feel good energy. So now we rest again, an alarm goes off, you flood it with adrenaline again, we've got the dopamine response going again, you hit snooze, and then you relax, and we go back to serotonin. And some people will just hit snooze once, but sometimes people will hit snooze. I know people who hit it up to 5 times, which means there's 5 times that adrenaline rush, dopamine, serotonin response going woo, 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 woo. And then what do? You wake up all groggy, not feeling great. You go walk like a zombie to the kettle, switch it on, grab your coffee, then drink that while you're half asleep, and then carry on with your day. That's the start of your day. If your day starts like that, how do you think it's going to continue and how do you think it's going to end? Okay. If you do this day by day, you get hooked, you get addicted to that dopamine, serotonin juggle happening, an adrenaline rush, which means that's going to affect and inform and put on your little filters for the day and for the month and for the rest of the year. My advice to you, if you use this snooze button, is you grab your phone, because that's probably what contains your snooze, and you immediately deactivate snooze on all of your alarms. Just do it. Okay? Deactivate it. If you are using a normal alarm clock, they normally will have a function, I'm sure, that'll say deactivate snooze. So snooze no longer exists. Take your phone when you go to sleep and put it in the other side of the room, so that when the alarm goes off, you literally have to get out of the bed to get to the phone to switch it off. Don't put it next to the bed. Okay. So this takes us through to that 5-second rule. It takes the body 5 seconds. You've got a 5-second window to step into action. If you miss that 5 seconds of action, or 5 seconds to action, then what happens is your body has a similar response to what we do with the snooze button. There's an adrenaline rush, or maybe a dopamine response, and then you've got your serotonin. And so the body gets into the space of, I'm wanting to act, but it doesn't. And then it bottles it all up and it sort of relaxes into the inaction. So your inaction then becomes your default. We want to get you out of that inaction. So the 5-second rule is to literally count yourself down when you need to do something, like whatever it may be. Like, let's say I've got to go wash the dishes. You go, oh, I've got to wash the dishes. You may normally go like, oh, you know what? I don't really feel like it right now. I'll do it later. Instead, go, I need to go wash the dishes. You go like, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then force yourself to go wash the dishes. The act of counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that is already an action. So what you're saying to your body and your brain and your physiology is, I'm not just procrastinating over here. I'm actually doing an action. My action is I'm counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So your body is now used to you being in action. And then when you finish your count to 5, you jump up and you force yourself to go do it. Initially, it may be a little bit jarring, but if you've done this enough times, you'll find that it's going to get easier and easier. Same with the alarm goes off in the morning. Alarm goes off and you go like, oh no, I've got to get up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jump up, make the bed, do whatever you need to do. Okay. Get into action. That is our first thing. So this is going to be your piece of homework over here. Get into action. If there's anything that you think that you need to do, as soon as you think it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and do it. Okay. Next, I want to talk about the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. Yes, we have 3 brains, and no, we don't always use them together. So I remember when I was really young, as all youngsters, I was fascinated with dinosaurs. I did all my research on dinosaurs. I had my scrapbooks filled with dinosaur pictures. I bought books on dinosaurs. I had dinosaur toys. I completely threw all of my information and study into dinosaurs. And I was convinced that I was going to become an archaeologist when I grew up. What fascinated me with one of the dinosaurs was the Stegosaurus. That's the one with the fins on the back. And they found that the Stegosaurus had 2 very distinctive brains in its body. One was a brain. The Stegosaurus had quite a small head for its body, but there was another brain in the middle of the spine, literally like on the back. And they found that this is in obviously the fossils, but there were 2 distinct brains. So they obviously don't know how it worked, but it was obvious that the 2 brains would have functioned in some way that the animal could work with both brains. That always fascinated me, the fact that you could have 2 brains. As I grew up and obviously I started working with kinesiology and all of these things, I then found that we actually do have 3 brains. They may not be as distinctive as what the Stegosaurus was, but we do have 3 brains. It started off with we've got 2 brains, and it started off with the idea that our brain is our head brain, and we've got a gut brain. Later on, I discovered that we also have a heart brain. And hear me out how that works. When you have the ovum, the egg, and the sperm, and they join together, they are 2 individual cells. They come together and then they form 1 cell. That cell divides and forms into 2 cells. Those 2 cells divide and form into 4 cells. Those 4 cells divide and they go into 16 cells and 32 cells, etc., etc., etc. As the cells divide, they get to a place where they form a level or a layer, and then they divide and then form another level and layer, and then they divide and form another level and layer. That first individual layer that forms contains the heart, the gut, and our brain. Okay, that first layer. So our heart, gut, and brain forms in the very first core layer. Then that sits surrounded by the second and the third layers and so forth. So our brain and our gut and our heart, they all form within the same layering, which means within the body we've got fascia. The fascia is like a container or a bag that contains stuff, whether it's muscles or organs or things like that, which means our brain is in this bag. And within this bag, we also have our heart and we also have our gut. They all form in the same sleeve. which means as we work with one of these within the sleeve, we also can work with the other elements within the sleeve. So all three of our brains are sitting in a similar place. Now, if we look at the head brain, it's all crinkly and all round and all tubey. And if we compare that to how our gut looks, our small intestine and our large intestine, it's a similar thing. Our brain has two hemispheres, our gut only has one hemisphere, but it still looks similar. The heart is the exception. The heart is one strong big muscle, but it has four rooms or chambers. So if we really look at it, our gut brain has one hemisphere or chamber. Our brain has two hemispheres and our heart has four. So you can see how there's a evolution or a development between these different centers, and we can use those brains in different ways. So let's quickly come back to here: head brain, heart brain, and gut brain. So our gut brain, this works with a count of three. When we talk about count of three, it's like when we normally have to count something down. If I go 3, 2, 1, go, that speaks to the gut or the gut brain. So if you think of athletics, for example, they normally will count people down 3, 2, and then 1 will be the bang, go, get ready, set, go, whatever, or whatever they say. It works with 3. The gut brain is our 3D brain. It works with this 3D world that we are involved with, the physicality of our world. The gut brain is what's going to put you into action and inaction on a physical level. This is our survival. The gut brain is about digesting food and taking in nourishment from our surroundings so that we can be alive. So it really works with our baser energies. We need the gut brain so that we can get the energy and the food and the nourishment and the sustenance that we need. The gut brain is what's going to inform us if food is going to be good for us or bad for us. And usually there'll be some indication. For example, if there is a poisonous plant, it may have a bad odor or a bad taste, and so you wouldn't want to eat it. You're just going to look at it and go like, ugh, I don't want this. If by some chance you go like, you know what, I'm going to override all of these things and I'm going to force myself to eat it, you'll either die or you'll end up with diarrhea or vomiting or something. Your gut brain will sort it out in some way, shape, or form. So it's really to do with this 3D world and the count of 3. So whenever we're thinking 1, 2, 3, or when you find yourself thinking mentally 1, 2, 3, gotta go, that's when you're working with the gut brain. Then we've got our head brain. Okay, the head brain works with a count of 4. So what logically makes sense to our brain is if we count on 4, 3, 2, 1, or we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Our head brain works with the 2D or second dimension. Second dimension is yes, no, right, wrong, good, bad, yin, yang, light, dark. It's about opposites. It's about dualities. Everything in the head brain works with dualities and binary systems and things like that. So it's going to add up things and work things out. You'll see when we count, when it comes to a counting perspective, it's almost like you get to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the brain automatically wants to switch off to go, okay, I'm done. So let's say you're going to do an exercise that is done in 6 sets or in 8 sets or whatever. You'll find that when you get to 4, there's going to be a mental click off, like the brain is going to want to switch off. The brain logically works with 4 or the count of 4. And our head brain is there to analyze things and to go, yes, no, right, wrong, good, bad, whatever. There's always going to be some form of judgment over here. Whoops, the wind is just opening up the door for me. Let me just quickly close this. Okay, so our brain's job is really just to analyze and to give us perspective. So we can use our head brain with our gut brain. Our gut brain is our sort of more intuitive side of things, but it's the intuitive side from a survival perspective and from a is this food good for me? Is this environment good for me? Trust your gut. Your head is going to analyze and work with things. Now, your head can override the gut. And I think a lot of us do that. A lot of us get stuck in the head brain, analyzing, over analyzing, counter analyzing, looking at different perspectives. And when you are sitting too much in the head brain, it's going to get you out of inact or get you into inaction as well. So you're not going to act. So the count of 5 again, you'll see the 5 is what's going to knock us out of our groove. The count of 4 is going to hold us in our groove. Our brain has its own little pattern, and if we are used to doing things a certain way, we literally form a groove. We form a pathway that we are always following. Our heads and our brains are wired in a specific way. So if you look at the way that the neurons are formed within the brain, our body is lazy. Our body is going to want to take the quickest approach to a place. So if you have a certain thing that you do and you keep doing it the same way, your brain is going to rewire itself to find the quickest way to process that. And it's literally doing it. So it will unhook neurons and hook them into the appropriate places. That's when a habit forms. Think of it as an open field. Nice, beautiful, grassy field. You can go anywhere. So from where you are, there's a favorite tree. And what you'll do is you are going to walk through the grass and find your way to the tree. You may find that the way that you walked didn't quite work. It was maybe a bit rocky or steep or whatever. So the next time you walk there, you try a different path. Eventually, you're going to find the path that works the best for you, and you're going to keep following that one path. Every day you go to your tree, every day you come back. Over time, the path that you followed will form. So the grass where you keep walking is going to die, or they're going to go flat, and you're going to form a little pathway to the tree, and that's going to be your special pathway that you always follow, no matter what, rain or shine. And so that's the same way that your brain will form pathways. It does take time. It usually takes 30 to 40 days to form a pathway like that. So when you've got a habit that you want to break, you are going to have to force yourself to move in a different way for 30 to 40 days. That's why when we do Kundalini yoga, we normally do 40-day practices, because it takes 40 days to get you out of that habit. So if you're going to change your pathway to walk to the tree, maybe you want a longer way, maybe you want a shorter way, maybe you want a new way, you're going to have to force yourself for 30 to 40 days to walk that pathway. In that 30 to 40 days, you will form a new pathway, a new shortcut, and the other pathway will cover up and it will close down and it will no longer be a path. So when working with our head brain, whoopsie, just tune in. When working with our head brain, we're going to have to take a little bit of time to readjust and redo those pathways. Okay, next one. Then we've got our heart brain. Our heart brain works with a count of 5. And this is our 4D brain, our fourth dimensional brain. So where we had our 3D brain in the gut and our 2D brain in the head, the space between the 2D and the 3D is the 4th brain, or the fourth dimensional brain, which goes beyond our time and space. Our 4D is time and space. So where the 3D brain is your space and the 2D brain is your sort of analysis, like on a 2D plane binary system, this is our 4th brain. Our heart brain allows us to move beyond time and space, and it allows us to step into a deeper intuition, where our gut is sort of our intuition of where we are right now. Is our surroundings safe? Is everything good? Brain is analyzing, like, is everything in place? Our heart can then jump beyond time and space to find, is this the right place for me to go and what is the direction to go? The count here is 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5-second rule. They found that there's the structure that's associated with the heart, and I can't remember the structure name now. It's this weird new structure. I'll see if I can find a picture somewhere, and maybe I can just include it somewhere into the chat. Like I said, I haven't done much prep for this. It's really just about conscious flow as we're going with this. But this shape, it's like a platonic solid, but it's the shape of the heart space if we had to do it as a sacred geometry shape. And that shape is not found anywhere else. So what it does, it creates like a vortex energy. So our heart space becomes like a big vortex as it draws in what we are thinking and perceiving with our head and our heart, our head and gut. So if we can get a way that we can get our head brain, our gut brain, and our heart brain to work together, that is when we step into 5D reality, where we can move beyond time and space and beyond this physical reality and beyond the binary. Currently, where we are living very much in the 2D world. We're living in the 3D world, 4D world a little bit, because we are working with time. But in order to move out of that, we need to integrate our head brain, our heart brain, and our gut brain, so that we can then step into 5D, where we move beyond time and space and we move beyond binaries. Okay, I know there's this whole thing about I identify as a unicorn and I identify as a cow and things like that, and it's maybe it's the edge of the people wanting to reach for 5D, where we no longer have binaries. But currently where we are, we do have a binary system. It is a yes, it's a no, it's a black, it's a white, and the binary system is needed for us to navigate this 3D world. But if we get to an integration between head, heart, and gut brains, and we move into 5D, then the binaries are no longer needed and they will naturally fall away and disappear. The binaries are needed right now for where we are. There's no need to force ourselves out of binaries, because it's not going to work. We are going to try and force ourselves out of something. And we can't comprehend with our brains just yet where we are, because currently the brains still work in 2D. So I identify as a cow or I identify as a cat is still putting you in some bracket of some sort. You're still in some 2D mind. So anyway, that's a story for another day. But really, this section is to let you know that there is 3 brains and we need to be able to integrate them. The integration is called M-braining, and there's actually a book called M-braining that you can look up. It's just called M-braining, and I think it's just the letter M, brain, M-braining. Just do a Google search for that if you're interested in working with the 3 brains. That M-braining book was actually written by medical doctors. So it's medical research that they've done around our 3 brains, our head, heart, and gut brain. So this takes me through to let me feel into that. Now, we have how can I put it? As I mentioned earlier about habits and things like that, we have our habits of how we act and react and how we interact with our environment. So someone asks you something, and when you were maybe 2 or 3, you found that a specific response or action or reaction worked for you, and you still continue to do that because our bodies are lazy and that's what it does. So perhaps you are a people pleaser and you like to do things for people, and it may be masked in, but I like to do it for people. But really what's happening is that you are acting out of a way that really it's something that worked for you at some stage, and it may not work for you right now anymore. So we step into a space of people pleasing, which as you may know, is actually the tip of the iceberg to codependency. And we want to step out of codependency into a space of interdependency, where yes, you are working with people and you are interdependent, but you don't need the other person for you to do that. And you don't need to do anything for the other person to do that. So what happens with our authenticity and stepping into our power and into our truth, this is really where I'm getting to in this energy where we are now. This is so important to step into space of authenticity and truth. If you go into people pleasing mode, you are not being authentic. You're not being truthful to yourself. Someone may ask you to do something, or they may invite you to some party. You don't really feel like it, but you say yes because it's the right thing to do, or it's expected of me to do it, or I have to say yes, or whatever. So you say yes. And then afterwards you go home and go like, oh, why did I say yes to that? I really, and then you spend the next week humming and hawing over it and feeling crappy about it, and then forcing yourself to go. Or you get to the event and then you go, I really don't feel like doing it. And then you phone up with some excuse like, oh, my car's got a flat, or my battery just died on my car, or I lost my keys to my car. You come up with some crazy excuse of why you can't make it. And that's not being authentic either. Instead of just saying, you know what, I don't really want to be at your dumbass party. Thanks for inviting me, but no thank you. Okay, it's maybe a bit of a rude way to put it, but you get what I'm saying. So it's really important when it comes to the space of authenticity that you are authentic and true to yourself. Okay, so when someone asks you to do something for you, or they invite you to a party, or people ask you, instead of going to your default, yes, let's do it, or whatever, make your new default, let me feel into that. And this is something that you may need to practice. So again, may take 30 to 40 days of regular practice standing in front of the mirror. I want you to have this as your default statement, so that if anybody wakes you up in the middle of the night and say, do you want to go party, or do you want to go out, or do you want to go eat something, or do you want to watch TV, or do you want to play a game, that instead of saying yes or no, or going sort of looking at the person and going, oh my God, what do they want me to say? Oh, they want me to say yes. Okay, yes, okay, I'll do it. Your default response, if anybody asks you anything, is immediately, let me feel into that. When you say, let me feel into that, pause and allow yourself the time to feel into it. It doesn't have to be long. It can be 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It doesn't matter. But when you say, let me feel into that, allow yourself to feel into that. Drop into your heart. Your head's already decided what it wants to do or not. It's already going to be screaming at you. Then you just go, shh, 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 let me feel. What does my heart say? My heart feels okay. How's my gut feel? Okay. Then, based on that assessment of what it feels like, let's say the person says, do you want to go to the movies tonight at 8 o'clock? Let me feel into that. Then you can feel, and you can go like, oh, my brain is saying I've got so much to do. My heart sort of tightens up a little bit, and my gut feels like a big knot. It doesn't really feel nice. Then you can respond to the person and say, you know what? Thanks for asking, but it doesn't feel right for me right now. Ask me again next time. The person who asked you can't take offense to that, because what you're doing is you're being authentic, number one. And number two, you are letting them know what you feel. There's no judgment. You're not pointing fingers. You're not saying anything to harm the other person. You're just saying, for me right now, it doesn't feel right. I'm being authentic, truthful, and honest. It doesn't feel right for me right now. I've got a little bit too much going on. But thank you for asking, and please ask me again next time. Because next time when you feel into, you may go, the head may go, yeah, I've got time. The heart may go, ooh, actually that feels nice and open. That feels like a nice change. Your gut may feel, yay, popcorn, that feels like lots of fun. Let's do it. then you can say, you know what, that feels really awesome, let's do it. You're being authentic, you're being truthful, you're being honest about how you feel, and then translating those feelings into an action or a declining of the action. You're saying like, no, it doesn't feel right for me right now. Of course, let me feel into that is not necessarily going to work in the corporate world if your boss says you've got to do something. So let me feel into that is not going to work everywhere in your life. If you can get let me feel into that to work for you within the corporate world, if you are still in the corporate world, then amazing. Amazing. But it's not always going to work. So sometimes we may need to step out of the corporate world and really embrace that fear of like, oh my God, I'm going to make it for myself. In order to do, let me feel into that. Working for yourself, let me feel into that can be super powerful, because working for yourself, you may come from a space of lack where someone asks you to do a job or whatever, and you just grab the job because you're so desperate for the money and for the work that you just do it, even if you're going to hate doing the job. The power lies when someone asks you to do a job and you can go, you know what? I don't really resonate with this project. No, thank you. I'll skip this one. Where the people will go like, seriously, you're turning down work? And you go, yes, it doesn't feel right for me. So my other work that I have, my other life, is I'm a graphic designer. And I literally use this. If someone asks me to design a job for them, I'll feel into it. And if I don't feel it, I say to them, sorry, I don't resonate with this project. You can get someone else to do it. I'm not interested in it. So I will turn down jobs if they don't feel good for me. And this is something I learned years ago when I did a project for a food company, and I'm not going to name them, but basically I had to do the packaging for this food product. And I got all the photographs for the food, and it looked quite yummy. It looked quite interesting. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? If I believe in the product, I can sell it. So I went to the shop and I bought myself a few packets of these food products to try. And I opened the one, and as I took it out, it looked like vomit. Like that was my immediate response. And I looked at it and went like, oh my God, I don't think I'm gonna be able to eat this. I thought, okay, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it tastes better than it looks. So let's try it. So I opened it, tried some, and it tasted like vomit. And I looked at this packet and I looked at the job, and I just thought to myself, I cannot sell this product. I cannot make beautiful packaging that's going to tell people this product is yummy and tasty and is good for you, and you want it and you want to buy it. I cannot do that. It's not authentic. It's not on. And I phoned my contact and I said to her, get someone else to do this job. I said, I don't resonate with it. The product is not good. It's not something I resonate with, and I will not be doing it. And she went like, oh, how can you say no to the job? We need the money. We need the work. I said, no, I don't need this work. I don't need to do any of this. Get someone else to do it. So I was true to myself and true to to my authenticity, where I refused to do a job because I did not resonate with it. But it felt so good to be able to do that. I didn't worry about, oh my God, where's the money going to come from? Will I get another job from this person? Because I got lots more jobs from that person. But it put me in a position where I could look at the job and go, I don't like this job. I don't want to do it. I like this job. I want to do it. And that put me into a space where I could be more picky, number one. Number two, I could raise my price because now I was being more authentic, and I'm not going to work for peanuts anymore. So it had a cascading effect. So let me feel into that as a super powerful technique that you can use. And I encourage you and invite you to use let me feel into that as your default sentence for everything. And that's going to lead us to our final one, and that is feeling, wanting, willing. Now, feeling, wanting, willing is a little bit more of a complex one. Feeling, wanting, willing is usually used within a relationship perspective. Okay, so the relationship could be as in marriage, It could be boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, doesn't matter, as in so it's some form of relationship. It could be within a family, so where there's a relationship dynamic between family members, or it could even be taken into the corporate world, working with relationships with work colleagues. So it could be taken into any relationship area or arena, but this can only be done in a space where there is already peace and harmony. So this is what makes feeling, wanting, willing a difficult one, because usually we do not need to use feeling, wanting, willing if everything is beautiful and hunky-dory and flowery and perfect. We need to use feeling, wanting, willing in a situation where there's conflict, where people do not see eye to eye, and where people fight and argue. That's where feeling, wanting, willing comes into play, but we cannot go into feeling, wanting, willing mode if we are in the middle of a big argument or conflict. Okay, so really, really, really important that if you are in some relationship where it is going crazy and it's tumultuous and it is explosive and there's conflict, wait for a moment when the dust has settled and you are in that florally, wow, yay, beautiful, like everything's hunky-dory phase, because it does happen. In all these conflicting relationships, it's always going to have conflict, which is going to resolve and then go into like, wow, a little moment of bliss before it then conflicts again. Okay, that's the pattern. And that's the pattern that you want to break. So feeling, wanting, willing, we use to resolve conflicts, but you have to be in a peaceful space in order to do feeling, wanting, willing. So that is just a little note, very important note, before you get into feeling, wanting, willing. Make sure that the dust has settled. Feeling, wanting, willing is also sometimes something that you want to do when you want to listen to the other person and you want to be heard. So it's not about, let me tell you how your life is going to be. This is going to be, this is about you both sitting down, putting your feelings on the table and having a conversation, a peaceful conversation. And you find a way to resolve the conflict so that in future you will not have those conflicts again, or the conflicts will be smaller. Okay, so really, really important that you do this in a peaceful space and not rushed. This cannot be rushed. Okay, let's go. I'll get our screen up again. Feeling, wanting, willing. That's your 3 stages that we're working with. So feeling is where you express to the person what it is that you are feeling. And it's really important that there's no finger pointing and whatever. So I am feeling sad, or I am feeling depressed, I'm feeling unwanted, I'm feeling neglected, I'm feeling pushed down, I'm feeling bullied when you do this. So if you need to tie it in, you can add in when you do this. So when you act or react or respond in this particular way, this makes me feel like blah, 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 blah. It's not saying you make me angry, or you make me this, or you make me that. You don't make me sad. You don't make me angry. You make me feel anger. You make me feel sad. You make me feel this. It's not even you make me. It is when you do this, I feel this. Okay, so really, really important that there's no finger pointing here. We're not saying it's your fault for making me feel sad, or it's your fault for making me feel less than, or it's not your fault for making me feel whatever. No one can make you feel anything. You make yourself feel what you feel. No one can make you feel anything. You feel what you feel based on a set of actions and reactions and responses to what happens around you. So if someone is bullying you, it is going to make you feel a certain way, but it's not the other person making you feel that way. You are making yourself feel that way within yourself. So own your feelings. It is your feelings, no one else's feelings. So when it comes to the feeling stage, it's to let the other person know this is how I feel. And again, if they get their backs up and they get like, roar, you can go, no, 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 no. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm letting you know how I feel when you do this. And I'm letting you know how I feel because we're not psychic yet. You don't know what I feel and I don't know what you feel. So I'm telling you how I feel so that you understand where I'm coming from. And when I feel this way, this is how I act and react and respond, which is obviously going to make you feel like something. And I would like to know what you feel. So it really is about opening up conversation. So when you act or react or respond in this way, it makes me feel like this. When I feel like this, I act like this or this or this. How does that make you feel? Oh, wow. Okay. Because now it's really about, let's put this all on the table. This is how I feel when we get into this situation. How do you feel when we get into this situation? Okay. And it's about really listening to what the person has to say. You may be surprised at what comes up. The wanting phase is where you say, I want this. So for example, when you get to feeling, you say, I feel, let's say, worthless. I'm wanting to feel worthy. I'm wanting to feel like I mean something. I'm wanting to feel like I am important. This is what I would like. Okay, so the wanting space is when I act and react in the specific way with the feeling phase. I'm acting or reacting in that specific way because what I really want is I want to feel this instead. I want to feel wanted. I want to feel needed. I want to feel important. But I don't feel important when you act or react or whatever in that way. Then I'm feeling less than. I'm wanting to feel this. Okay. So you've set out what you feel. You both know what the feelings are. You both know what you want. And then you go into the willing phase where you go, okay, I'm willing to do this or this or this in the future. I'm willing to take this approach in the future when this comes up. What are you willing to do? How can we make this happen? How can we make this work between us? So as you can see, this feeling, wanting, willing is something that's going to take time. The most important thing is don't take anything personal. It's not a personal attack. It's not finger pointing. And this is really important that you have to perhaps keep reiterating to the person. It's not finger pointing. I'm telling you how I feel so that you know how I feel, because you can't read minds or feelings just yet. We're not that psychic just yet. And I would like to know how you feel because I'm not that psychic to know what you feel yet. This is what I want. What do you want? Okay. You want that. I'm willing to do this. What are you willing to do? How can we get to compromise? How can we get to a space where it's going to work out? The feeling, wanting, willing is going to take time. It's going to take practice. This is not something that happens easily. It's not something that happens naturally. It's going to have to practice, practice, practice. But the biggest thing is if you approach it from a space of, I am curious to know what you are feeling and what you want. And I would like you to have the same curiosity as to what I want and feel. You're not going to make this feeling, wanting, willing work with someone who does not want to know what they are feeling or how they are working. It's not going to happen. So you're not going to, and this is definitely not going to work in a space where there is already a conflict and it's already going. You can't say like, oh, let's go do some feeling, wanting, willing quickly. Oh, like all airy fairy. No. If there's conflict, rather step away. Let it all burn out. Let it all settle down. Let it get into a space of harmony first, and then you can approach the person and say, look, I don't really like all the conflict that we're going through. I really would like to find a resolution to this. Do you mind if we sit down and chat about this for a little bit? And like just openly chat about it without finger pointing, without getting angry, without getting aggressive, without attacking. Can we just find a way to make this work so that we don't have to go through this conflict? Because I don't enjoy going through this conflict every time, and I'm sure you don't enjoy it either. That's how you open the door to that one. And then you sit down and you discuss it quietly and calmly. And it's really about, I'm going to tell you how I feel, and I would like to know how you feel. This is what I'm wanting. What do you want? This is what I'm willing to do. What are you willing to do? And let's find a place where we can both be happy. And occasionally you may find that it just comes to a point where, you know what? Let's agree to disagree. We are seeing things from a different perspective. I may respect you, I may appreciate you. I just don't agree with that approach. And that's also fine. In fact, one of my teachers that I had, we are always in conflict when we get together. But I have a deep respect for her. And I hope she's got a deep respect for me. So she says. But that's okay. That's the way that she sees it. From my side, I have a deep respect for her, and I let her know, especially after times when we have conflicts. I will let her know, like, you know what, I'm sorry we butted heads again, but I deeply respect you. I just have different views, and let's just accept that we've got different ways of seeing the world, and that's okay. We don't have to always agree, but I do respect you. So that is it for today's session, I think. I think there's quite a bit on this plate. So this conversation or session has actually turned out to be a lot deeper than what I anticipated it to be. I was thinking it's going to be about a half an hour, but I see we're in about 50 minutes. So I think there's a lot in here to process. There's a lot that you may need to have to revisit, and that you want to dive a little bit deeper into. So yeah, let's see how this unfolds in the time ahead. But I really invite you to work with this new techniques, implement it, find a way to get it as part of your life, and you're going to see that things are going to shift for you in big, massive ways. So that's it for today. I'm sending you so much love and light. Take care, and I'll see you in our next session.